welcome back to Getting to the Top, where I interview transformational leaders about their leadership journey. So I had been asking quite a bit about who people thought I should interview, and quite a few people recommended this person today. Today, I have the honor of introducing you to Maria Daniels. She's the lead partner of Trinidad Transaction Advisory Services for EY. She's a chartered financial analyst. She holds an FCCA designation, a BSc in economics and management. In her 25 years experience, she specialized in financial services, among other wide-ranging services. She leads EY's innovation and strategy services and has been involved in a number of digital strategy and transformational projects. And that's what we'll talk about on this podcast, transformational leaders and how they've gone on their journey, in hopes that we inspire you on your journey. So I know we'll get some really great examples. But she also leads the strategic growth market segment for EY, focusing on internal and external growth strategies. And she works closely with entrepreneurs. And this is where we have interacted most, assisting with innovation. She's absolutely passionate about developing the Caribbean's evolution into digital and improving financial services. I've worked with her on several initiatives, including planting seeds. She's an EBB mentor. She's an investor. She's worked with us on EY Entrepreneur of the Year. And I have absolutely and always been in awe of her capacity and just the way that she does things and the way that she helps entrepreneurs and the way that she's tireless in that effort. So I will start with asking Maria if there's anything else she wants to add to her introduction.
Well, that sounds like a lot already, Raquel. And the admiration is mutual. I see you as well. You should be introducing yourself. I was going to ask you that. Who's going to introduce Raquel Moses? The only thing I would add to that now is I've actually focused now on sustainability. Nice. So I'm leading the sustainability services for EY Caribbean, across the Caribbean. I've been doing that for about a year and a half now. It really matches all the things I did before, plus my love of nature. So I'm an avid hiker. So I found something where, I feel like I'm even giving more by, educating people about the planet and everything that sustainability brings. So that's the only thing I will add now. I think you more than covered it.
Fabulous. And that's so great. So tell us, how did you start? How did you start? Tell me about, what did you think you were going to become when you were a little girl?
What, do you want to know that list? Top of the list is movie star. Let me start with that.
What?
Oh, well, yes, I was in whole name drama club. I thought, so there was movie star, there was journalist, I love to write. Accountant was never in the list. It never made the list.
How did you end up becoming an accountant after all of that?
A science student, actually. Computer science was actually my love. I loved programming.
Wow.
I was actually one of the first batches to do A-level computer science. Yes, I'm that old. We were still writing programs, watching on MS-DOS, and it was green. But I really loved computer science, but I also loved business. So I would be in school buying and selling stuff. Anything I saw cheap, I would ask my father, give me the money and I'll sell it over. So I knew I wanted to do something in business. Unfortunately, in those days, though, girls' schools didn't even have accounting as an option, economics as an option. So, and because I was above average, it was sciences. So that was kind of the start of it. And then I applied to University Cape Hill and I just, changed to, I did economics and I thought, oh my God, I love this. But this is me. I love to study. I actually do love to study. So anything I study is like, oh, I love this. So I got into economics and management. Then while I did economics and management, I did marketing. And I loved marketing because that brought in the strategy part and the creative part. I also paint as a hobby. So I have a creative side of me as well. So I was like, yes, I'm going into marketing strategy, not sales, because I didn't think I was too much into sales, but marketing strategy. Came out of university, applied to 150 places, and the only people that responded were the accounting firms.
Really?
And that's how I ended up in accounting. So I ended up
So,
going into auditing.
okay. So the
And then I
movie
thought
star
about
decides
value for
to get
money.
into auditing.
Yeah. So then I thought value for money. What else can I study?
Hmm.
ACCA was cheap because it was free.
Hmm.
The CFA, which is so, widely acknowledged, is also extremely reasonable. So I
Okay.
actually never did an MBA. I did a CFA, and I mean, that gets a lot of respect globally,
Hmm.
especially, but it was $3,741. So,
And you remember to the dollar.
I remember numbers. Like for 50 years gone by, I can remember numbers. So that's actually how my career, I have to tell people there was no grand plan, right? I knew what I loved, and no matter where I went, I enjoyed what I did. So whether I was doing auditing, yes, that could be monotonous. Yes, that could be very repetitive, but I got to learn so many industries. And I always tell
Nice.
people, auditing gives you, once you want to get into finance, it gives you this foundation from where you could go anywhere.
Hmm.
And then, I started to get a little bored of the auditing, and I did a summer job with someone. And she said, you know something? I'm leaving my job, and the only other person who I know works like a dog is you. So I think you should come for this job. And then I ended up at the unit trust.
Oh,
And
wow.
then somebody came back again and said, Maria, we have this opening. Would you come? And I said, okay, I'll come. So I've actually never applied for any other job that I took afterwards. I kind of tell people, I go where the universe kind of leads my path. I don't question it
Hmm.
very much. I explore things because my attitude is, well, if you don't like it, you should just move on.
Yeah.
So I think the biggest advice I have for everyone is, yes, you have to have some kind of plan. You have to have goals, but you have to do it with two things, your brain and your heart. You have
Mm.
instinct and guts. And I think I have really followed my instinct and my gut. And I went to EY, and I love EY. I really do. I
Mm.
love my job. There's just
Oh,
nothing else. I love it. I love it. I really do. I
that's,
love the people I
and
work
that's
with.
clear in seeing you work. It is absolutely clear that you love your work.
I do. I do. I
Yeah.
meet all, and you know what? It's what you make it to be,
Yeah.
right? So yes, I went into a job. Yes, it was a service I was now building. So when we
Mhm.
started, it was 5 of us. Now we're probably close to 30. Across the Caribbean, it's 52, 50 something. So when you're starting to build something, you just have to look at it, look at the trends. I have probably started 3 or 4 new services since I was there.
Yeah.
And it's just having an inquiring mind and doing things different and using the knowledge you have around you. EY is a great, great, great learning platform. And I just sucked up every single bit of it when I started my career. And that's the success. You have to invest in yourself. I didn't wait for EY to send me on training. I didn't wait for somebody to tell me, well, you should do this to move up or whatever. I did it because I saw a need for it. I learned everything they had available. There's something in old EY called KeyWeb, which was our knowledge web-based
Mhm.
thing. My ex-partner used to say, where did you hear that? Was it in KeyWeb? Anything I talk about is in KeyWeb, because I just absorbed. And I tell all my young people that, a job can take you so far. You have to take yourself and you have to create it to love it. Let me put it
Yeah.
that way. So I think that's really where the success came from. Just whatever I was put in, it was never questioning why I was there. It was never complaining. I just made the best of every single opportunity I was given.
Fabulous. That's such great advice to, make the best of the situation you're in. So your work ethic, where do you think that came from? What were your parents like? Was it that they worked really hard and so that gave you this sense of I have to work hard? Where are you, do you have any siblings? I find a lot that the oldest sibling is always the one who's like, listen, I have to set this great example.
Well, the Daniels are workaholics by nature. I come
Okay.
from a very, very big family on either side. So on the Daniel side, there's 12. My mother's side, who are Clemens, they're 12. So I come from a very, very big family.
So
I also think,
you had 22 aunts and uncles?
oh yeah, yeah, yeah. And everybody, lots of cousins. But I come from like the top half, so I have cousins much younger than me. My cousins' children are the same age as my children. So
Oh my goodness. Did you feel lost or,
oh no, I loved it. I loved it. I loved it. On my mother's side is where I probably got my debating skills from.
I
All the
see.
things they tell you not to discuss at family events, that's what we discussed. Religion, politics. So I was 10 years old with an opinion in the middle of it all. So I'll say I get that from that side. On the other side, the Daniels are very hardworking. But it also is a drive. I didn't come from money, right? We didn't have a lot. And for example, I love to paint. So we didn't have money for me to buy my paints. What I would do is I would sell stuff in school and I'll take that money and I'll buy my paints. I have probably worked every summer since I was 13 years old.
Wow.
So it was about, you want to get something. Again, as I said, it's up to you, right? I wash windows in my neighborhood. And in those days, $65 for a house to wash windows, I think that was good. I was, a receptionist. I work with my aunt who sews. So I actually sewed every piece of my clothing as a teenager. I mean,
Wow.
anybody who knows me from that time would say Maria's still doing the hem before we go to party. So again, it's, not waiting for other people to get it for you. It's, just making it. I learned to make jewelry. The only thing I can do is shoes.
So, okay, so a couple questions. So how many brothers and sisters do you have?
One brother, one sister.
Oh, okay. So at least it was not,
I'm the
and
middle
you are,
child. That would explain a lot.
and then, so growing up, you have this work ethic, you're learning all of these new things. Is that where your sort of passion for entrepreneurship came out? Because you help entrepreneurs with a sort of relentlessness that I haven't seen otherwise. So is it that because you learned all of these things, because you've been exposed to all of these industries, because you can make your own jewelry and make your own clothes, you're just like, listen, entrepreneurs have to succeed, and I will be the one who will champion them through that process?
I think it's two things, right? I do think, when you are, successful or you have any kind of gift, meaning knowledge or, knowledge is a gift. And that's why no matter who asks, I try my best where I could to do lectures or to help. So it's part of that, you have these entrepreneurs, you have some of them don't have money. It is the way out, because it worked for me. It worked for me, whether I was selling things in school or starting new services in EY, it worked for me. And I just like to see people do things passionately. I mean, being around them, you learn as well.
Yeah,
right? And I
of
see
course.
the passion, I see, persistence. I always tell the young entrepreneurs, boy, you guys are so persistent. And I think that's why I do it. Any way I can help. I think, once you're successful, you have to give back. That's not an option, at least not in my books.
So you are this wonderfully successful, well-liked, really great person. And then you have your children who are growing up in a very different lifestyle than you would have grown up in. How do you instill that sort of sense of purpose and that sense of hunger in them to succeed when they would have a completely different experience than your experience growing up?
Yeah, that's an interesting question, and I've thought about it. And this whole nature versus nurture conversation, right? So I have 3 girls who are very, very different. Very different. First one didn't like school, gave a lot of trouble, didn't push her. I never push any of my children to be like me. It's to get your own path. And I do that with my staff as well, right? The second one is completely driven. Super intelligent, super bright. I don't have to tell her since she was 4 years old to do homework. She did it.
Wow.
So, God sends you these, you have the first one as a challenge. The second one, you really don't have to win. People say congratulations when she wins all these things. I say, I was just a DNA. That's all I've given her. And then the third one, they were kind of chubby when they were small. And then she just decided, I'm going to exercise and I am going to cook my own food and I'm going to do my own thing. And she did it and she lost tremendous. So each one of them are different, but I have to say, without me, I don't think I spoil them, but of course they have, things available, but I think they see how hard I work too. And they see that and they appreciate that. Sometimes I say, y'all need money. I don't know how they make this money stretch so long, but they do. So I feel proud of all three of them. The first one had challenges, which people would know, and she has totally overcome that. She adopted her friend's daughter. So each of them have done so many things that I am so proud of and so grateful for. So I think it's example. It's just like leadership in a workplace, right? It's example. So I don't have to make them work hard. Each of them work hard because they've seen me work hard my whole life. And I've had them very involved in my work life.
Nice.
So they know what I do with clients. They might hear conversations. The eldest one was in the office with me from very young. So they've been part of it. They're definitely part of my journey. And I've learned from all of them. It's not just one way.
And it's funny. I had it a little bit the other way around. And the first one was like easy breezy, lemon squeezy. And that's what makes you feel like, oh, I could do this again. And the second one, not so much.
No.
But I'm enjoying it all the same. But so you mentioned, and that's the same way that you lead. So tell me about your leadership style. Like what's it like to work for Maria Daniel?
Ooh. Well, the first thing I tell people in the interview is if you want structure and organization, I'm not it.
Really?
I've tried. Oh my gosh, I've tried. I've tried to be organized.
Way.
I've tried my best. My brain does not work that
But
way.
we work well together. I don't understand.
It's organized in here.
I don't do chaos at all.
But it's not organized there. So people get if you don't know me, you get very nervous. So like when we have a presentation, there are people who will do dry runs. I don't dry run anything unless it's something where timing is important. I don't write speeches.
Okay, that's fair. Yeah, I don't do that either.
Exactly.
I find it's always
but
much better when it's authentic. Yeah.
Yeah, I organize it in my head. I would give you the feedback, like people who have left have all given me, all my young people. And each one of them said two things that are important for me. One, I allow them to be themselves.
Nice.
And two, I always push them beyond their limits.
Nice.
So those are the two things. So if you're working with me, do not tell me that is the way we did it before.
Yeah.
Because that doesn't work for me.
Oh my gosh.
It was like,
that is like poison to me when somebody's like, oh, well, we've always done it this way. I was
exactly.
like, well, it sounds like it's a good time to change it.
Exactly. So we're constantly evolving, which is good. So as we always say in our department, there's no dull moment. There's definitely no dull moment. We're either doing something new. We have a very, very tight family-like structure. So, we do a lot of things together. I have a ton of young people. Most of them are 25. I love their energy. And we have all these great debates about life. And, how many things I say that will cancel me. But so we're always debating life. And I think, I give people space, but I expect a lot.
Okay.
So they know that. I am not going to fuss where you are. Before remote working became a thing, we had it already.
Nice.
I never fussed about, HR used to be calling me all the time for one person, she has on 3/4, she has on jeans. And I'm like, this girl delivers 99% of what I require. Just leave her alone. No, and that's where the world has come to, right? We wear jeans every day now. So something we were fussing about in the old
days, like it was a big deal.
Like it was a big deal, right?
Yeah.
And now, it's more focused on what people bring to the table.
Right.
So I think that's one thing, I like diversity. And when I mean diversity, we call it neurodiversity, different ways of thinking. I try to encourage people to voice their opinion. Some people say I'm scary, but I don't think so. But
Scary
younger
in what
ones,
way? Scary in what
they
way?
say the young ones get scared sometimes. I don't know. I could shout sometimes. Huh? I'm bad at,
Really? I find that
yeah.
you're very high energy, so maybe that's kind of intimidating. But you like you angry shout,
No, not angry shout. It's very
but
rare. It's very rare. It's very
okay.
rare. But I call them from my office, which
Oh,
is
so
like
they
really
just feel like
bad.
under a spotlight, like you see them.
Yeah, but I think they like it too. So whoever names get called often, I think they like it. They quarrel about it, but they like it. But I mean, I have like a wonderful team of people around me. I think the important thing is you have to know what you aren't, right?
Hmm.
So I am not organized. I have the most organized women around me, men too, but mostly women. And they organize me. They organize everything. They nag me when I need to be nagged. They stand outside my office to remind me when I need to be reminded. But there's no way I could have done what I have done without my team. I love
Fabulous.
them. I truly, truly love them.
Fabulous.
And I tell them that too.
Oh, that's good. So they know it. You, apart from you telling them, they believe you.
Yeah, they believe me. They believe me. Every time we do bonus and promotions, they get a beautiful. So this year I did animated cards and they get these very special. They know it's for them. Each one of them get a specially written card. I will take the time and do that. I bake their favorite cake
Oh,
whenever we have
nice.
big club. So I do little things like that.
What kinds of things do you paint? I'm just curious.
I like in the early days, I used to do birds. I love birds. I love landscape. I don't do people too much, but I
Okay.
love nature. So I do a lot of landscape. I have a couple up, but it takes me very long to finish these things.
Because there's
Because
no
of
structure.
time.
It's just very dynamic, very dynamic.
Because of time.
So, and I know that I'm asking you questions all over the place, but it's
That's
just like
okay.
as it comes to me. So, how did you in your career? Because your career is marked by just sort of increasing your span of control, increasing the things that you're responsible for. Is it just that you were willing to, they're like, well, give it to Maria or expand Maria's area or allow her to create something new because she's willing? Or is it, how did you get noticed?
I think from the very start, and I have to say, I was able to do this because the partner at the time, Angela Prasad, who I love dearly, she really allowed me to be. Let me put it that way. So it was a small department. She was now building it up. And I just came in there and said, okay, here's all the things we need to do. Because when I first came in, I was an accountant. I never had financial models when they talk about these financial models. And this is another thing, you could get scared, but don't run away. So they were using terms I never heard about in my life. And I went to them and I was like, oh my gosh, I'm coming in as a manager. What am I going to do in this place? So I said, okay, first thing, let me just learn what everybody's doing. So then I looked at their Excel models and stuff, and I was like, okay, guys, my Excel models, which are all self-learned, is 10 times better than this. So first thing we need to do, everybody going on training. And she just allowed me, she just allowed me. And she supported me. She knew when to pull me back. She knew how I was not your most diplomatic person. Not that that has changed that much. But, she taught me how to do business with a little more diplomacy and not just say what comes to my mind. You get different things from different people. So I became like the technical person and she built up everything else that I needed to be a good leader. So I guess people noticed that. So again, working very, very hard. I would work till 2, 3 a.m. in the morning. I had kids, I was studying, and I always said that my studying and my career cannot affect my children. So I would never study during the week. I would study 2 a.m. to 6 a.m. when they were sleeping. I would never work on weekends, but never study on weekends because I didn't want to sacrifice being a mother. So I think, you know, when the firm started to see how hard I was working and they were seeing results. Now, I will tell everybody here, and everybody knows it, budgets, I don't even check the numbers. I don't. I've never checked numbers. I have just worked to my full potential. And I have never not met a budget.
Wow.
So it's putting in the effort, doing the best that you can do, and the results will come.
Wow.
And that's what I tell my staff. Guys, let's do the best that we could do, add value to the clients, and the results will come. Too many people focus on what's the target? What's the target? Let's get those Excel spreadsheets going. Let's, you know, what's the forecast? Checking it every month, checking it every 2 months. I just work.
Wow.
Because I know at the end of the day, whatever
this is completely counterintuitive.
Yeah, that's what everybody says, but it's not though. Because it's like if you're running, right? And you're just running as fast as you can, and you can't go any faster, you will reach where you need to reach in the time that you're supposed to reach there. So I work as hard as I can humanly work, and the results are always there. I have never not met a budget. And every year it's higher, it's higher, it's higher. So I tell people, you know, I tell the others, don't even ask me where we are in the budget. I have no clue. I have no clue. I just keep working. And it never fails. It never fails. That goes against my budgeting and forecasting planning that I tell everybody to do.
You have to have to tell them, don't watch this episode because this will like this.
No, you have to have the plan there, though, of where you're trying to go.
Right,
so
right.
It doesn't matter what it is. New standards come into play, even though our department wouldn't necessarily do them. I will go and learn it. And we will build it up, and then we could give it to somebody else. Digital transformation, same thing. We started it up, customer experience, we started it up, and then it might go to consultant or some other part of the group. Sustainability again, you know, that was coming and, you know, nobody locally was saying, okay, I'm going to do this, because you do have to study it. So, I mean, all day today I was studying. So you have to be prepared to put the work in. You have to be prepared to get the knowledge. You know, I tell people you can't wing sustainability. You know, you have to do the work. You have to study. So I have read so much. I'm studying, you know, EY has a master's program, going for that. You just, to get where you want to go, you just have to make the effort. It doesn't just come. There's a little bit of luck in life. But I think the luck, the universe brought it to me, and instead of questioning, I accepted it, and I did the best that I could do with every single opportunity.
I think there's a quote that says, you know, it's funny how the harder I work, the luckier I get.
It's true.
Yeah.
It's true. It's true. And I mean, surrounding yourself with the right people are also important, you know. You work more and you spend more time in an office. Well, now people do that at home, etc. But, you know, it's building that team where you just let people be who they can be and stop trying to make perfect people, but pull the strength from each member of your team, and together you really have something that's going to be successful. I strongly believe that.
So in your career, what's the transformation you've been that you're most proud of?
In my career, what is the most?
Yeah, because you would have been a part of a number of different transformational efforts, whether it's within EY to change the way that EY did things, or externally for clients, something that you can talk about, something that you've done within your career that you're like, you know what, I am really proud of that. That's the thing that excites me the most.
I would say one of the most rewarding things, which wasn't even a transformational exercise, it was more on the transaction side. There were these 4 old ladies that came into our office. We said the project name was Golden Girls, right? Because we put a project name on everything. They were 84, 86, all foreigners, came to me and they said, look, you know, everybody we go to tell us there's no way we could sell our minority interests. They said, everybody told us we're going to get $1 for it. We have no money. I said, okay, well, I love these kind of things. I said, okay, you know what? Forget the money for now. right? I'll work on a success fee basis. So I did evaluation and was made up, the company was made up of a whole lot of minority interest shareholders all over the world.
Mm.
And I found each one of them. I got in touch with each one of them. I pulled them together as a group. And we were able to sell the company. And instead of $1, they got, I think it was $30 a share instead. Somewhere between $25 and $30 a share. And those little old ladies sat down and literally cried because, you know, they were like, this is, you know, their fathers built this, and to get something after everybody told them they could never do it. I would say that was one of the most rewarding things because it meant so much to them. And, you know, it's something that everybody else told them couldn't be done. And again, I said, you know, when you put that will in, it can. I've had lots of, you know, experiences with big companies, etc. But it's always those smaller companies when you see, or, you know, individuals where you touch their lives. To me, that is what really makes a difference. I mean, I've worked with some really great groups. As I tell people when I do strategy work or even a transformation work, I can tell you if your executive team going to be able to execute this or not.
Wow.
Right? Just from the way when we do the facilitation, the engagement, if they have their ideas of their own. I mean, we've done some really, really interesting things. I mean, my team continuously innovate. So I have great clients. I think I have great clients. I love my clients too. So you know, I'm not at this stage in my life going to work for people that I don't like. I'm sorry.
Yeah. And you're seeing a lot of that, especially coming out of the pandemic. People, I think it shocked all of us into realizing how fragile life is and how short our time here is. And a lot of people, you know, started sort of the established bottom lines, like, yeah, no, I will not do this. I will not work for people I don't like. I will not work with people who I don't respect. You know,
exactly.
I will only work for my ideal client. And a lot of that changed. I spoke to one of my interviewees. She was like, listen, I fired a bunch of clients. And she was like, and I needed the money, but I just trusted that the right clients would find me if I created that space to allow them to find me.
Exactly. And I have always, money has never been my driver. You know, it's one of those things I tell you, you work hard, you do it, it will come. It will come. But I'm not going to take a job that I'm not going to be proud of because of a fee. We have walked away from very big fees because something wasn't ethical or it wasn't something we believed in. And we've walked away from it. And I always tell, you know, I tell my staff that as well. And we make mistakes too. And it was like, if we make a mistake, we tell the client, we've made a mistake, we're going to fix it. It's just the only way to run a business, you know, with integrity. I mean, one of the things I need to fix though is overextending myself now. I was telling my staff the other day, why would anybody hire me now? Because I cannot meet deadlines as I used to, because it's just so much, you know, it's just so much. So,
and you're in such demand. And I think, you know, figuring out, especially with your sort of giving spirit, how do you restrict access to yourself to enable you to do your best work on the things that you've already said yes to? Because the requests are going to keep coming. People see you, people know you, people know that you do great work, people know that you do it with wholeheartedly with great passion. You're just going to get lots of requests.
Yeah, no, I have to get better at that. That's my January 1st New Year's resolution. How to say no.
And how are you working on sort of building the capacity of your team so that it doesn't always have to be you? Like, how are you?
Well, now it's much better. Now I have the way we used to do it before, we were much more generalists. When I mean generalists, you know, me as a senior manager, I would do valuations, due diligence, lead advisory, strategy, business, I do everything. Now we have it in verticals, sub-service line, and that was the joy of building the practice. So we've built a practice where I can actually have a leader in each of the sub-service lines. So now for me, it's really more guidance, so I will focus on building if we're doing new services, etc. And they really execute now. So it's gotten a lot better than it used to be before. And I tell them I'm preparing for my leave, right? A good leader is one who could leave and know everything is perfectly
Continues
well.
to run. Yeah.
Yeah, you're not a good leader if everything needs to be done by you. Then you're not leading.
Yes. No, no, no.
Right?
Then
And
you're
I have,
just the sort of sole hero. Yeah, yeah,
yeah, that's just ego
yeah,
that
yeah.
you have to shed over time. And that is something you shed over time, right? You know, you feel if this is not done, if you don't do it, then it's
It's
not.
not going to be done properly,
Oh,
and you're
I've
not
gotten
building
rid of all
capacity,
that.
you're not developing people.
Mm-mm.
Yeah.
I've gotten rid of all that. I have a bit of a vision. I give them the vision, and to me, it always comes back better than what I put out there. So
And did you start there or did you evolve into that position? And how did
evolve,
you evolve?
evolve, of course, evolved. You always go through, I think your 30s and early 40s is when you go through like, oh, if I don't do this, it's not going to be proper, and you want to do everything, and that is evolved. That is evolved. I do a lot of reading of Buddhism
Nice.
and stuff like that. And, that has actually, help you understand how people think ego is just being arrogant, but it's not. Ego is not able to take, you know, somebody to decline an offer from you. Ego is thinking that, people have to depend on you. Ego comes in so many forms of fashion, and only when you work on yourself and you have to look inward first. No matter what someone does to you, I stop and think, okay, it's how I react that makes a difference.
Yes, yes. And sometimes it has nothing to do with you.
Sometimes it has nothing to do with you, but that's all part of
Yeah.
ego too, thinking that
Yeah.
everything is because of you. So, I tell people, ego is not, people, say, oh, it's arrogance, but it's not. It's not being able to, take when, somebody says not, negative, or if somebody says, like, if you tell somebody I love you and you have to expect I love you back, that's all
Yeah.
ego,
Yeah.
so you love somebody and you love somebody. If they don't love you back, so what?
Exactly. So love them. Yeah.
Yeah, still love them.
Yeah.
It's not about getting it back. So I think that's
Yeah.
all part of human nature evolving.
So I just read Brene Brown's Atlas of the Heart, where she talks about, that kind of fragility and ego. And sometimes when we see people who are quite bombastic and seeming egotistical, they are the most fragile among us. And it is to just sort of shield that that facade, because they don't want anyone to know about their vulnerability behind that facade. And it is incumbent upon us to sort of understand when it's not about us, or understand when that person actually needs more support rather than more criticism. Because when we see people who are egotistical, we think, oh, we need to bring them down a peg, or we need to sort of check them. And maybe that's not it at all. And that is counterproductive to what really needs to happen, in that they may need more support. They may need more popping up because of this challenge. And there's so many things, Lord, as you're talking about the evolution, there's so many things that, like, I wish I knew earlier. But I'm wondering, and I'll ask you this as sort of the last question, if you had access to the information that you have now, if you had it in your 20s, do you think it would have made a difference? Like, what advice would you give to a 20-year-old Maria?
What advice would I give to 20-year-old Maria? I don't think I'd change anything. I wouldn't. There's nothing in my life. I mean, I've had great disappointments. I've had major heartache. I've had, so many things that happen over time. But you either trust in the universe or you don't. Because for each of those bad incidents in my life, something better came out of it. And something better came out of it because I accepted it and I just dealt with it and I moved on. I mean, There's nothing I would change. I love my life. I love where it's end up. I love my people around me. I have my children who are the center of my life. There's nothing I would change. Absolutely nothing. Maybe people that I would have, maybe I would not have been as frank, and I used to think that saying things exactly how
saying
you
what you mean
feel,
and not
say what you
and
mean
not
is you
worrying about
being
the
honest.
casualties.
Yeah, and not worrying about the casualties or not thinking about how that impacted the other person. That I would change. That I would
maybe
change.
making the information more palatable, because you want to convey the same meaning, but you don't want it to be in a way that's destructive. Certainly
Exactly.
that would definitely
Exactly.
be advice I would go back and give my 20-year-old self.
Yeah, but you know what? Each one of us are work
Be
in
authentic
progress.
and gentle.
I tell people work in progress. I'm certainly far from perfect. But I do consider myself a work in progress. And constantly there, I mean, you have to know what your weaknesses, and it's still my weakness. Probably saying things, and I always go back, and my staff know that I would always come back the next day, because at the end of the day, I stop and think, gosh, Maria, why did you say that way? And I will go back the next day and I'll go and I apologize. I have no qualms in saying I was wrong.
Happily. Thank you so much, Maria. I really enjoyed this conversation, as I knew I would. Anytime I see you, anytime we get a chance to work on something together, anytime we get a chance to talk, and I'm over the moon delighted that you're now in the sustainability space, because we need some soldiers in that space, and we certainly need from a region to lead in the sustainability space on a global stage. So I'm delighted that we have one of our best leading on sustainability and helping to shepherd others through. I enjoyed this conversation and I learned so much, and I think you're right. You know what? Good, bad, or different. However things worked out, you're in the best possible place. And so if you went back, if you had the time machine, you wouldn't change anything, because you're right where you're supposed to be right now. And I absolutely believe that I trust the universe. I trust the universe is so amazing in terms of it just gives you exactly what you need when you need it. And when you go through the hardship, you rarely ever understand at the time why,
Yep.
but then it might take 5 minutes or 5 years or 5 decades, and you're like, this is why, this is exactly how it was supposed to work out. Otherwise, I wouldn't be here.
Faith is exactly that, accepting the good and the bad and enjoying the good too, and being grateful. I mean, that's the one thing I'll close with, every single day, just be grateful. Appreciate what you have, and more does come. I mean, that's the way I look at it. It just be grateful.
Wonderful. Thank you so much, Maria. And please keep inspiring those young people. And to the rest of you, thank you so much for joining us for this episode of Getting to the Top, where I interview these transformational leaders who are helping us to grow and to evolve and to become who we're ultimately meant to be. I've really enjoyed this conversation. Thank you so much. And if you haven't yet subscribed, please subscribe and share your thoughts. This interview was primarily because of your recommendation. So I'd love to hear who you would recommend next, because this was a great one. Thank you.
Bye-bye. Thank you, Raquel. Bye.